Shocking statistics have revealed that police regulators investigating fewer than 1% of all complaints. I'm going to read into this exclusive from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an exclusive from Byline Times with a headline that it's been revealed that police regulator are investigating fewer than 1% of all complaints. Shockingly few complaints are being properly investigated by either police forces or the independent regulator. 1%. 1%, guys. Now, I think we've talked about police complaints before, and I've said this before because we've talked about the police as well, about how I believe we should dissolve it and rebuild a new police force from scratch. That's by consensus, obviously. I haven't really heard anyone suggest other options yet on that. So if you have a different option or opinion, please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm curious to hear what other options would there be to fix our police force. But we didn't really engage too much, or I don't know how much we engaged so much. I don't think we engaged too much in terms of how they manage complaints. Because is it right that the police force should manage their own complaints? And my position is that no, I think it should be handled independently from the police force. It should be by a neutral body. And it should feature. It should feature some civilians, some ex-police officers, and maybe even one or two ex-politicians. A combination of different people, of sorts, that manages the Police and Complaints Commission, rather than the police handling their own complaints, because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel to me as if they take the complaints of the British public seriously when whatever they do. Now, an important caveat that I've stressed before, and I'll keep stressing it again, guys. There are many good police officers out there who do absolutely wonderful work. I'm extremely grateful to the police force for what they do, because they are in a very difficult situation. It is a very tough job. It's very stressful. It can be very exhausting. It can can be also sometimes mentally damaging for their minds. There's a lot of things that take in to being a police officer, and I commend police officers for what they do. However, they should know what they can and can't do. And there are times where the police officers absolutely take full abuse of their powers, and there's no accountability for that power when they abuse it. And that's where we have the lies where we have the lack of trust, shall we say, in many communities, in England in particular, where they just don't trust their police force. Now, there are cases where police forces are perfectly all right, but there's a lot of cases where they just don't trust them. They don't trust them to uphold the law. They don't trust them. They don't feel safe with that police force, because they're fearful that, especially if you're someone of a certain skin colour, you're stopped and searched for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So there are lots of issues, and this is just one of many issues that we have with the police force in England. So we are taking a repeat of the Sarah Everard murder. Campaigners have warned after Byline Times revealed that almost 9 in 10 complaints about police forces are not formally investigated. Sarah Everard, 33, was kidnapped, raped and murdered in March 2021 by serving Metropolitan Police officer Wayne Couzens, leading to protests and nationwide backlash. In the first time since it's been revealed since the Chancellor Cat Couders for other crimes and misconducts were missed in the days, months and years before the murder. Among other things, Couders was investigated over indecency and exposure claims as much as 6 years prior. So because they don't chase these issues, guys, 6 years prior, this has been running. He has had complaints and whatnot on him, and he's just been allowed to carry on. Why was there no follow-up to it? Despite receiving a record 81,142 complaints concerning 1,300 1,349,052 different allegations. In 2022-2023, Byline Times found that only 17,098, or 12.6%, led to a formal Schedule 3 investigation. So they've had nearly over 130,000 different allegations have been made between 2022 and 2023. That's 1 year, by the way. That's just in 1 year. And only 17,098. It's disgusting. It's not good enough. Just not good enough in any way, shape or form. 40% of cases nationwide ended with police forces taking no further action. 40%. Is that really the case? Were the police that good? If you've had 134,000 different allegations, that number, I'm sorry, that number is just way too high. Way too high to say that there's a good police force. And it's a shame as well, because there are some, as I said, there are good police forces out there, and that's just disheartening for those ones who actually do a good job. At 14 of the 44 police forces in England and Wales examined, fewer than 3% of all complaints cases received have led to a local investigation. British police forces are largely self-regulating, handling any investigations into allegations of poor behaviour or misconduct themselves. The most serious cases of misbehaviour, misconduct and criminality, however, are handed to the Independent Office for Police Conduct, the IOPC, to be investigated. Well, I think the IOPC needs to be expanded to handle all cases then. They should have a department to handle not so much the most serious cases, but a department to handle the less stringent allegations, and that there should be the ones for the most serious, and then a department for the least serious, and this should be completely taken out of police hands. Completely taken out of their hands, I think. But 6,083 cases referred by police force to the IOPC. The regulator only independently investigated or pushed for a direct investigation in 478 cases, or equivalent to 8% of referrals to 0.5% of all complaints logged at police forces. Even fewer ended up with misconduct proceedings being initiated. 0.5% of all complaints are logged at police forces. What do these numbers sound like to you in comparison to some of you? I know some of you who watch my channel from Europe. What's the numbers in comparison, guys, from other nations? Let me know in the comment section if you have any numbers. I'm curious to know in comparison. The actual figure is also likely to be lower, as the IOPC refers data in annual reports also include other statutory and criminal IOPC referrals, not just those from public complaints. In March, the government announced it would conduct an independent review into the IOPC's operations to assess the governance, accountability, effectivity, and efficiency. Habib Kadi, sorry if I mispronounced the name, Executive Director of Policing and Accountability Group Stopwatch, told Byline Times the result of this investigation suggests that police forces are not able or willing to resolve the erosion actions and behaviours of their own officers. At best, they are ill-equipped to deal with the volume of misconduct allegations they receive. At worst, forces' systematic failures to take complaints seriously means that there is a high likelihood they will be doomed to repeat the scandals of the past. Child Q, Child X, Sarah Everard in the years to come. The Everard case is not the only one which chances to catch a criminal officer earlier were missed. Serial rapist police officer David Carrick was the subject of a litany of criminal investigations and complaints in more than 2 decades leading up to his conviction in February for 85 serious offences, including 48 rapes. In July, the IOPC announced that it would be using rarely used power to launch 4 different internal investigations to look at whether the Metropolitan Police mishandled multiple serious complaints it received about Carrick before his eventual conviction. An IOPC spokesperson told Byline Times the most commonly recorded complaint types relates to police service delivery, such as lack of updates or delay in responses, rather than the more serious concerns about police conduct. They added that the IOPC only investigates the most serious and sensitive cases referred to us, and that as the police watchdog, they are working with police forces to help them improve how they handle complaints. Byline Times previously reported that complaint allegations against police officers skyrocketed by 24% last year compared to the year before. Now, a Home Office spokesperson has said the government's changed its definition of a police complaint in 2020 to ensure that any dissatisfaction, including misconduct, can be raised. By law, each complaint must be handled in a reasonable and proportionate manner, and by those who are unhappy at how their complaint has been handled can apply for a review, which will be carried out by the independent or by either the local police and crime commissioner or IOPC. Don't worry about the cat in the background. He's totally fine. The vast majority of complaints about the police are about the delivery of duties of service and do not concern misconduct. The spokesperson for the National Police Chief Council says, "We remain committed to our current police team mission to lift the stones and rid police of those not fit to wear the uniform, those strengthening vetting and misconduct investigations and delivering the long-term improvements to standard and culture war we have promised. Police take all complaints to the public very seriously and aim to deal with them in a fair, balanced and objective way using statutory guidelines from the Independent Office for Police Conduct. Where a complaint is upheld and officers or staff are found to have not met their expected standards of professional behaviour, we ensure that proportionate action is taken and that they are dealt with fairly and directly. That added action is being taken and change is happening, that words from us are not enough. His Majesty's Inspectorate of Consultaberry wrote to the Home Secretary earlier this year to note undoubtedly progress towards forces on vetting misconduct and counter-corruption practices, and we are absolutely committed to driving further change." Well, obviously, if they wrote to the Home Secretary earlier this year, i.e. Suella Braverman, she obviously didn't give a damn about it. But, there we go. Just to reiterate, don't worry, the cat is fine if you hear any more noise. Trust me, he's fine. I can guarantee you that. But 1% of complaints, guys, this is called, it's just absolutely damning. And it's so important that police are held to account for their own actions, and we've seen over the past 13 years how the police have been given more powers, and I just feel that there's a severe lack of accountability. Now they have now obviously I wasn't too much aware about the IOPC, but why not, as I said in the clip, why not have them handle all complaints? Put investment into set up another department so that they can handle all the police complaints and appropriate action can be taken. If not that, then I think an independent body should be the ones to conduct it rather than the police force. Because clearly the police are not handling this well enough. It's not been good enough in any way, shape or form. If there's a system in place ensuring that people are able to have their complaints and issues dealt with accordingly, it gives a bit more trust to the police force, where it gives them more trust to contact them for whatever crimes that may be committed upon them. If there is no trust in the police force, that means that if there is a crime that is committed, whether you see one or are a part of one, you're less likely to contact the police because you don't trust them to look after you and help you in that need. And I think that's really disheartening, especially when there are so many cases of criminality taking place, and you don't want to pick up the phone to them because you simply don't trust the police to help you. And it makes you feel very lonely and helpless, and I feel for those people. But I will say that if you are one of those people who are watching who don't trust the police, and I understand your reasons for not trusting the police, especially whether it is not having complaints handled or whatever that may be, if you feel your life is in danger, if you feel a crime has been committed, please contact them, because even if you don't trust them, it's still important that the police are aware of something that has taken place. You have rights, and the police have a right to protect you. Well, what do you guys think? What do you make of all these police complaints? Do you think it's the system we have of complaints are being handled fairly? What do you think should be done differently? I've given my suggestions. What are your suggestions, guys? And how do they compare to other nations? Let me know in the comment section down below how they're dealt with elsewhere. Hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media. Hit the notification bell icon so you'll be notified of when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me, you can do that by buying me a coffee or joining me on Patreon. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.